and welcome to the first breakout session of this year's EOSC Symposium. Good afternoon also to our online participants. My name is Idira Hassani Mavrice from Graz University of Technology in Austria, and today I'm going to chair this session, which is on INFRAEOSC projects, early results and future plans for the common collaboration areas. I also represent the EOSC Focus project. So what we are planning for today's session? We will have an opening statement from the EC. Then I will give a short introduction on the opportunity area expert groups and give you some background information about the collaboration framework. We have 6 representatives of these opportunity areas that will represent the individual opportunity area groups, and we will also have a panel discussion. So there is a possibility to engage in Slido. So please take a moment to scan this QR code. Also, online participants will get the code, and we will be showing the code also during the session. It is my pleasure to welcome and invite on stage Javier Lopez Albacete from DG RTD, Open Science and Research Infrastructure Unit, to open this session.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon. It's very good to see a full room to discuss this topic. I just wanted to say a few words at the beginning of the session on behalf of the European Commission, mainly and plainly to express our support to these kind of coordination activities. As Michael Arentoft has already said during his intervention at the opening session, one of the main contributions of the European Commission to develop EOSC is through the financial support through Horizon Europe work program. There were also significant support under Horizon 2020 that was extended into Horizon Europe. We, of course, do many other things, policy coordination and many other things, but that is one of our main commitments to support the development of EOSC. To date, overall, in total, we committed that is our commitment to the EOSC partnership to provide of the order of 490 million euros during this 7 years period of Horizon Europe. As a result of that commitment, to date, there are 27 projects that have been funded mainly under the INFRAEOSC destination of the Horizon Europe work program, but not only, because there are other projects quite relevant to EOSC that are funded through other parts of the work program. There is also, very importantly, one procurement action, because, of course, all this funding is channeled mainly through projects under call topics, but also procurement action, and the EU node is one of these, is the only big procurement action that we have taken in this last year, actually. I hear from my REA colleagues that under 2024 calls, 9 more projects have been selected for funding, so 9 more projects will join this set. They are finishing the grant agreement preparations, and they are finishing some administrative steps. And I was looking also a little bit into the numbers to say that these 27 projects, I was curious about it, they come with close to 600 participations. So this means 600 times organizations are participating in projects. And this is organizations. If you try to translate that into people actually engaged, involved, and working in these projects, I don't have the number. Probably we have it in the system, but it would need to dig. It's a bit complicated. But this adds up to thousands of people. So now, of course, the topics on which the projects are working, some of them are quite different, or they are very varied, and they follow very closely the strategic research and innovation agenda of the partnership that we discussed together with the EOSC Association, where we said what are the main priorities, the strategic directions in which we have to advance, and that is a very important input for the work program. And of course, like I said, there are many different topics, from working on skills, awareness, tools for verification. There are tools of more technical nature that are to feed into the EOSC core or the EOSC exchange. So then there is a lot of support to thematic communities. We have seen that in the past, also the EU missions included. So it may seem, okay, some topics are a bit disparate, but there is always overlap in between all of them. It is clear that because at the end of the day, all of them contribute to the advancement of EOSC. So we think that it is very important to foster any kind of activities that help to identify cooperation opportunities and also to maximize synergies and maximize the outcomes of the projects. In that direction, well, I remember when we were first discussing cooperation activities 2-3 years ago, you may remember really there was a bit of confusion, no, or reluctancy from some projects, and it was normal because the EOSC Association was starting its activities, and then they came to us like, I mean, who do we serve, so to say? We have a contract with the European Commission, but now we are getting requests from the EOSC Association to get engaged in things, to report to them. So there was a little bit of confusion, but I'm very happy, I think, that now we can say after 2 or 3 years that we have been together putting in place coordination activities with the European Commission, organized the coordination meeting with projects. We held the 3rd edition this year. The EOSC Association is working, they put up as a follow-up a winter school for more in-depth discussion. There is a lot of work on the macro roadmap to precisely understand how the projects are contributing to different elements of the strategic research and innovation agenda. So after this initial experience, I think that everyone is convinced that these collaboration opportunities add a lot to the project. They also help a lot to create a sense of community. I was talking before or quoting thousands of people involved in EOSC projects, and then if you take into account the many others that contribute through the task forces of the EOSC Association, that the number goes up significantly. So yeah, essentially, this is, I think I am done pretty much. What I want to say is that for us it is very important to have these mechanisms in place. We have a double down on our own on the Commission side, coordination meeting. Also, you involved in projects know that there are new policy feedback instruments with the help of our colleagues in RIA in place to get a more direct input from you. What do you think about the problems? What do you think is priority? What kind of recommendations can you formulate to that? We read into that very attentively and try to extract conclusion and commonalities. And yeah, that's all. I'm very happy to see that there is a lot of interest for that. I think that the opportunities areas are actually an opportunity. I think that things are working well. And yeah, at the end of the day, we have to see how to integrate all the individual or smaller collective contributions to EOSC into the common vision. And for that, it is clear that collaboration is needed. So I can only, well, celebrate that these activities exist and express our support to them. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Javier. Thank you. And yeah, those projects that were also mentioned during the plenary session, you can see the names here. And we would like also to find out how does it look with the representation of the individual projects. So would like to ask you to participate in our Slido. So the question is being activated. And tell us which project do you represent at this year's EOSC Symposium. You have the possibility to include more than one project or to select several ones. Okay, can we show maybe the results? No? Too quick, okay. So we go back and... Okay. Okay, so we can show the results now? No? Okay. You have also the new project that will start next year, included in the list. So. No. Yes, please. I think we have to ask Oscar's project. Yeah. Say yes. Okay, let's show the results now. Okay, so Oscar. So we have a winner, which is the Oscars, but also EOSC Beyond and Fair Impact are very well represented, followed by Fair Core for EOSC, EOSC Fidelis, EOSC Eden, and EOSC Focus. So thank you very much. And I will continue Okay, so the annual coordination meeting organized by the European Commission, this has been already mentioned today, and also the EOSC Focus as a support and project for the EOSC partnership. And within EOSC Focus, we have established the mechanisms that Javier also outlined to help INFRAEOSC projects to facilitate their collaboration. I'm going to mention some of these activities, and the results also can be accessed at the EOSC EU website. So what we have done within EOSC Focus, we run interviews with representatives of all INFRAEOSC projects. And with these interview results, first of all, we have done a mapping exercise to map the contributions of these projects in 3 action areas, and also to create the so-called EOSC macro roadmap. With the interviews, we also tried to identify synergies, technical challenges, but as well as potential gaps in the implementation of EOSC. And one of the outcomes of the interview results is also to make sure that the results of the projects get also the visibility. And during the interviews and also with the creation of the macro roadmap, we have established this collaboration format that we named Opportunity Area Expert Groups. Here, just a very quick preview of the EOSC macro roadmap. It's an interactive catalog that features not only INFRAEOSC and related results, project results, but also the contributions from the EOSC Association members and observers and the deliverables of the EOSC Association task force. So you have the possibility to change between these 3 domains, also to select, like, for example, an SRIA action area, and then see which projects will be delivering in the near future which particular results. And of course, all this background work led to the establishment of the Opportunity Area Expert Groups. These were shortly also presented by Karel at the opening session. So we have 6 Opportunity Area Expert Groups, and we will hear the presentations of the 6 of them shortly. The first one on persistent identifiers, the second one on metadata ontologies and interoperability, then the third one on fair assessment and alignment, Opportunity Area 4 on user and resource environments, Opportunity Area 5 on skills training, rewards recognition and upscaling, and Opportunity Area 6 on open scholarly communication. What do we do within these opportunity areas? First of all, it's really important to mention that these are bottom-up initiatives driven mainly by the EOSC-related projects. We focus on the collaboration. We want to build on the existing expertise, try to identify some tangible topics, mostly technical challenges, technical topics, and see how the projects can work together to answer questions that maybe, and trying to solve them isolated as a project, it takes much more effort. Which means that also the format is open, so there is a possibility to express your interest to join these groups. So there is no fixed timeline, as in, for example, EOSC Association task forces, because we want to maintain a flexible format to make sure that also the new projects can enter this collaboration framework, and we adapt also the so to say, the work plans based on the priorities that the group identifies. We have some milestones, for example, the session today. So we have been working very closely with Opportunity Area Expert Groups and with the representatives that I will be introducing very shortly to set up this session, and the EOSC Winter School that was already mentioned. So Opportunity Area Expert Group play also an important role in setting up the program. The facilitation is done from the EOSC Association and the EOSC Focus as a project. So we the support team is then in charge of organizing regular meetings, putting in place collaboration format, EOSC forum pages, and also maintaining the sub-page at the EOSC Association website. So there is a possibility to join these opportunity area groups. So if you can scan the QR code at the bottom of the slide, then you also can express your interest. The EOSC Winter School was also mentioned today. So in January this year, we had the first winter school, and this was also an initiative coming from the projects. It was co-organized with a RAISE project this time, and the main goal was really to provide an environment where projects can work on practical, technical challenges and also integrate the EOSC Association Task Force outputs with the results of the projects. We had different formats, so the subgroups or the opportunity areas and the respective subcommittees, they defined the format that was best fitting for their purpose. So we had group work, mapping, exercise, demonstration, demos or hackathons. And the main result was that we have established a very good basis to further work within this collaboration format. And it was a very positive experience, which also motivates us to make sure that this event is established as an annual event. You can also have a look at the report, so the QR code is presented here. Some pictures also from the social activities that we have organized during the winter school. And I just can say that, yeah, stay tuned for more updates. The dates were already announced by Karel's presentation for the next winter school. And with this, I now want to introduce our representatives from the 6 opportunity area groups. So they will very shortly represent their work within the individual groups, and then we will have some time for a panel discussion. So keep in mind that you can post your questions also in Slido. So Opportunity Area 1 will be presented by Tibor Kallmann from GWDG, Germany. Then Opportunity Area 2 will be presented by Volmar Nyberg-Ackerström from Elixir, Sweden, and also University of Uppsala. Chris Schubert from TU Wien, Austria, will present Opportunity Area 3. Then we have Björn Grönig from University of Freiburg and also Galaxy Europe presenting Opportunity Area 4. We have Celia van Gelder representing Health Research Infrastructure and also Elixir Node in Netherlands, and she will present Opportunity Area 5. And we have Suzanne Dimochel, which is also a director of EOSC Association, representing Operas and CNRS from France, which will represent Opportunity Area 6. So, Tibor, I would like to ask you to come on stage and start with your presentation. We repeat here the QR code in case you don't have it yet. And then we start with Opportunity Area 1. You can use that.
Test. Thank you, Ilira. Jumping directly to the presentation. So Opportunity Area number 1 is about persistent identifiers. I'm not sure whether the numbering has any particular meaning, but for us, persistent identifiers are number 1 in data management, and in many other topics, which also means that PID-related topics are also discussed in other opportunity area contexts, and collaborating with projects and collaborating with other opportunity areas is necessary because they also discuss topics like persistency, like sustainability. Coming to the main goals of our opportunity area, one and the most important one is probably to update the PID, the EOSC PID policy on a regular basis, and it includes to define responsibilities and a kind of a control process and review mechanism for these updates. We also prepare the discussion about an advisory body which has a clear mandate to agree on PID-related standards and would have the mandate to assess compliance of different PID systems in the context of EOSC. And we also see as a goal to establish a forum to engage with different persistent identifier providers and would have a first objective here to discuss on the broader or with the broader EOSC community and try to find a consensus on any kind of standardization when it comes to APIs and identifier metadata, so basically the kernel information stored in the persistent identifiers. The next two subpoints are also important. We shift our focus clearly from creating new PID systems to using the existing ones and build services on top of the existing PID services. And we promote the extension and the reuse of those existing PID systems and PIDs. Last but not least, one of the goals is to exploit the potential of the PID graphs, which also means exploring how federations of research graphs could look like. What we contribute to the broader EOSC landscape, well, the first and probably the most important one is the regular updates of the PID policy and preparing the discussion on a mandated authority for assessing EOSC PID compliance. Then we try to draft documents which helps new projects to be compliant with the EOSC PID policy. We monitor the landscape of the existing PID services which might be interest in the context of EOSC and suggest different extensions and improvements to them. And on the midterm, we try to exploit the added value of PID graphs and try to show the potential of federating those PID graphs when it comes to the EOSC ecosystem. I hope I was quick enough. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So moving on to number 2, I guess slightly less important. Let me see. There we go. This is an overview of some history and also basically the motivation that you can find on the website. So we're metadata, ontologies, and interoperability, and the background and goals of the opportunity area is to address things that facilitate and make interoperability possible. So semantic artifacts, ontologies, and how to map across different ways of recording different data elements. And then we concluded that this is not properly, heavily or deeply covered in many of the EOSC projects at the EOSC Winter School. So that's kind of the background here. And we want to move in the direction of some sort of EOSC approach to metadata and ontologies more broadly. And here we can also see a picture of metadata being at the center in some capacity across both current and previous task forces. And then we see a lot of projects having deliverables in this area on the macro roadmap. And also there's a ton of different task force outputs to take care of. And to some degree, I hope that this opportunity area can facilitate project collaborations that would funnel these into implementations, connect people working on tasks that might not be the main priority of the project with other experts where there might be more resources to really solve the problems in the best possible way. And then for the contributions that we foresee here, that what we can actually do in the group is to provide some opportunities for hands-on collaborations. And we looked at the EOSC Winter School and said we would like to have more opportunities like this one. And EOSC Winter School 25 is on the horizon, so those projects that haven't sent a delegate or a person to join the Opportunity Area 2 discussions the last time, consider doing so this time. And you should also consider, so how could we leverage these opportunity areas in the best way for your project? So people joining our opportunity area, I would expect that you also kind of push us in the right direction in terms of how we should operate, as well as towards this vision of an EOSC approach that spans across the different project timelines. And then we also have all of these EOSC task force results. There's tons of them. So we probably need some sort of collaborative effort to go through them and see where it makes sense to implement them, and perhaps describe how you did it in your project so someone else can do it in the similar way. And we have started by creating an inventory of different opportunities, and this can be events, things that different projects are working on. It could be challenges, or it's actually part of one of their deliverables to find a common approach. And then make sure that we spread the word more or less. We have also decided that this is going to be an open group, so people can join if they feel that they would like to. But I hope that you're doing so with the intention of being an active contributor. And to conclude, this is just a peek into the current version of this inventory, which is a Google spreadsheet, and it's not completely populated. So we are working on trying to find good mechanisms to share these opportunities across the projects, and I'm hoping that we can find some better technology solutions than this one, like a database, or maybe there could be some sort of listing of events that would be relevant across the projects. So with that, I would like to leave it to number 3.
Thank you, Volmer. Now, this opportunity area 3 is on fair assessment and alignment, our objective here, main goal is really to enhance a deep knowledge on fair assessment tools, to assist project use cases and communities, standard communities here. So we want to have, and our focus is also to promote the alignment between data long-term preservation and data quality requirements from the former task forces, from the former period, that we include these results here in this future way. Of course, we have to facilitate definition and adaptation on metadata schemas again, and it's still an ongoing work also on these interoperability aspects here and quality aspects here, on semantic artifacts, but also we have a look on, especially on data provenance and federated systems. And the last point is, of course, collaboration to get any impact here as an important community-driven aspect here. Also regarding the EOSC task forces, and here this is one specialty because they're still in task force on fair metrics and digital objects here, which is really strongly connected with this opportunity area. So our contribution in the end here really to assess and adopt and get impact of fair in diverse digital objects. We have also to find a common mechanism to adopt these metrics here and indicators. We working and also strongly related to existing projects really for mechanism regarding metadata consumption, for example, signposting, create our services here. We have to push a little bit, and it's important really to develop within EOSC, really the fair governance mechanism, which includes also the data quality aspect and the long-term preservation aspect here. As well also to formalize some criteria here for really understandable metadata criteria here and how to use the metadata content. Björn? Hand over to you.
Yeah, so opportunity area 4 is about user and resource environments. So this opportunity area is pretty much about compute, storage, and especially about VREs, so virtual research environments. And we would like to be, the meeting point where all people that care about VREs, that developing VREs, that want to redeploy VREs, so that we bring those people together and work together. And we would like to reuse as much as possible, not reinventing any wheel here. So we really want to share Ansible playbooks, Terraform roles, Helm charts, so all these technical details to actually deploy then clouds like what we heard today, the EOSC EU node, for example. And this is what we do in this task force. We also try to be a contact point. So if you have questions, if you want to contribute, please join us. But also if you want to have technical validations, testing, consolidation solutions, please contact us, get in touch with us so that we can actually redeploy clouds with common concepts and develop the concept of a VRE further. A few key contributions that we did, or that we are also currently working on, is really improving user environments to increase the end user adoption. So we have heard about the long tail of science. And how can we make those research environments really user-friendly? And if we think further, I actually would like to go to a point where we actually improve the user experience and do evaluation on user experience. So that we not only provide a compute environment, but also that we make it that simply to use it, to make less errors by doing your data analysis, so that we catch a lot of these common errors before they actually executed and wasting a lot of resources, which then in turn comes back to carbon efficiency and environmental health. We also would like to leverage resource environments by other providers. So for example, we are working closely together with the entire Galaxy community, but also with the European grid infrastructure. So they have also, both communities have a lot of these concepts already in production, scaled out to 10,000s of users. So this is also what we try to put into this entire basket. Here maybe also to mention that we are heeding to a concept which is called bring your own storage and bring your own compute, so that if you have your virtual research environment and you have maybe local storage resources or local compute resources, that you can plug them into such virtual research environments, which should also go hand in hand with sustainability of such services. We would like, or we have integrated already these EOS Exchange services, so like infrastructure as a service, service as a service, software as a service, into the platform. We have extended a few of those VREs to use actually common AI infrastructures and so on. We would like to share probably even more VREs for training. So just imagine something like a training infrastructure as a service where you want to run a Jupyter-based training and you want to have, next week 100 Jupyter notebooks. Where do you get that? How is this documented? How can we share that? These kind of things. And to build really a service where you can just go, I need these resources, these pre-deployments next week for this amount of users. So if you are interested in that, talk to us. In a parallel session, there's currently something about running about trusted VREs. This is also what we are looking in this task force, in this opportunity area,
how can we deploy these trusted VREs in those environments that we foresee. Yep, and that's it. Celia, yes. Your turn.
So I will tell you a bit about Opportunity Area 5, and our words are skills training, rewards, recognition, and upscaling. And I think that it's very important to realize that this all, sorry, yeah. I have to stand here. Yeah, give me that. That's not that. Thanks. I can. So, thank you. So, I think it's very important to realize that this all touches to the objective, one of the global objective of EOSC, ensure that open science practices and skills are rewarded, taught, and becoming the new normal. And on the right, you see the 4 task forces and the projects that were present in the winter school in Thessaloniki. We were with 26 members. That is why you saw the number 26 on the slides that were presented today. But since the expressions of interest has opened, we have had more than 40 people signing up for the OA5, so we have more than 60 now. For me, that indicates that there is a real interest in all EOSC members from project, outside projects, maybe even outside EOSC membership, to be involved in this. And I think for the moment we have kind of formulated our main objectives. Like, we really want to integrate and understand all the OA5 related activities in the EOSC projects, in the member organizations and in the member states. And collaboratively we want to work further to all the OA5 topics. And we want to focus on sustainable solutions, not letting project outputs end in a drawer, take it further beyond lifetimes of projects, etc. I think with this group, already with the 26, but now we have 60, we are in the process of mapping the expertise of all those people, the countries, the institutes, where they come from, the projects they're involved in. But I think together we have a really good overview what has been done related to skills, training, reward, recognition, what is needed, what we are doing, what are the challenges, what things we could figure out to work further on together. And we are working on that now. And I already mentioned that we want to do this beyond the end of the project lifetimes. We don't want to get all these results wasted. And then, becoming very practical, where are we now? The winter school was very efficient for us. So we had a 3.5 days workshop. You can find the results in the report. And from that, we had 5 teams emerging for the OA5. I don't know. Yeah, it's working. So the teams are, and they came up from the 25 people that we had there, and we clustered them. One is training materials, learning paths and curriculum. One is related to the training catalog and the training infrastructure. One is to engagement. One is about accreditation, recognition and assessment. And one is about really thinking about how to come to an EOSC skills and training strategy. Is there any group which has the oversight, which can help steer, which can advise the board, etc. And then we formulated some key contributions that we want to make to the landscape. I think it's good to realize that we are not a project, so this has to do, we all do this in-kind contributions, so it will be facilitating role, supporting, facilitating discussions, bringing people together. For instance, in the light of the competence centers network, we also are trying to work towards harmonizing all the work that has been done for data stewardship curricula, which is also a point in the SRIA, actually, an attention point. We are going to look at all different projects and activities that are going on related to recognition frameworks, because a lot of work has been done, and we want to find the synergies and do some synchronization there. Also related to the training catalog of EOSC, I think work needs to be done there. What do we want there? How should it be there? And we have to find that out together. And then the final one I already mentioned. I think for me, EOSC Association really would need something like an expert group, I think, on training and skills that can really help set this strategy, because every project has skills and training, all the institutes have it, the country levels have it, there's so much going on and there's so much needed, and I think we are trying to find out how we can move forward together. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. So now we are moving to the last opportunity area, and as you all know, last but not least. So probably even the contrary, actually. So the idea is to, with this opportunity area, we focus on open scholarly communication, which is an important aspect because since the beginning, in the building of the EOSC, we focus on data, which was actually where we need more and more input, especially at the beginning, to build the appropriate services, and especially because of all the issue. But we shouldn't forget that we also need to address data in the context of scholarly communication, and how can we publish and increase the impact of the work we do for the researcher. So, what are our main goals? First of all, we address the question of the role of machine actionability of the digital object in open scholarly communication. We explore the AI opportunities and risks for open scholarly communication, and several projects in particular are on this aspect. By the way, have you deleted the slide with all the logo of the project? No. It's later? Okay. It's hidden, okay. Okay. Then we have the support for the Diamond Open Access. So we try to build a future Diamond node, which will be part of the EOSC Federation. So that means putting the Diamond Open Access model high on the stakeholders' agenda, as it's still very underfunded. We advocate for this open access model as an equitable, scholar-led and cost-controlled model for the future of open scholarly communication. And we address the challenge that a higher level of bibliodiversity correlate for some time with lower levels of standardization and integration. That's the key goals we have in this opportunity area. And we have, if I remember well, 5 projects in this opportunity area. So we have Craftaway, OS Trail, SciLake. DIMAS is not part of the EOSC, is not an INFRAEOSC project, and I think I forgot GraspOS. Yes, I think GraspOS, OS Trail, SciLake, and Craftaway at least. What are our key contributions? Better inclusion of scholarly communication and publication topics in the fairization perspective. We cannot address only fair data, but we also have to consider fair publication at large, especially regarding the metadata aspect, and especially if we want to link data and publication, which is actually key in our work. Address research careers and training related to EOSC in this aspect. The Diamond node, I already mentioned it, and to be discuss maybe another node, which can be an open scholarly communication node provided to the EOSC Federation. So that's what is on our plate. Plenty of work to be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentations. We will move now to a more interactive part. So we have 15 minutes for our discussion. And since the stage is a bit, let's put it like this, not very convenient to have 6 chairs, we can stand, all 7 of us, or if you prefer, you can also sit in the first row and then we take questions, but as you wish. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. And here you can scan again the QR code if you prefer to put the questions in the Slido, also from online participants. But we can also try to take some questions from the participants here in the room. So please.
Will it be a very precise question? Because I have a question for Tibor, my #1 man here. from the perspective of a person who is involved in the implementation of a very practical tools for the resource discovery, we've been wondering if on EOSC level it's doable to have some kind of recommendation mapping or however we want to put it. But in the end, we want to know which PIDs we are supposed to support in the subject of the discovery of resources. And is there any activity in your, and from the OA2X perspective, it would be also very interesting to know where should we, because there are many of PIDs, right? And we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we want to be open as possible and, you know, inclusive. But practically, to make all of these fabulous features emerging in our tools, we need something concrete. We need to know which PIDs we are supposed to support in the end and build our functionalities on top of them. So, Tibor.
Thank you.
I would have two answers. One is a more academic one, but you were asking for the practical one. So when it comes to the more pragmatic approaches, I would go back a bit to the former PID task force. This had released a document about kind of a landscape analysis. What kind of PID systems, what kind of PIDs are out there which might be relevant for EOSC-related activities. There are some well-known PID systems. I would love to say that the PID service providers would like to focus on the PID infrastructures and would not necessarily like to understand what are in the PID records itself, but it's not true because PIDs are so well included and integrated with other or with all steps of the research data lifecycle that they are necessarily touch different kind of topics. So when it comes to the kernel information profiles, to the kernel information which is stored in the PID systems, it is really different. The short answer is there is no one pager you could take and you could go there and you could use for any kind of discovery process. But the last point on my slide was exploring that kind of federation of PID graphs and using and understanding the information which are in the PID, different kind of PID systems, might be key here. Because, just give you a practical example, if there is a data set, if there is a publication, quite often that they get the same object, get different kind of PIDs. And merging this information together, federating this kind of information might be the way to go. So PID graphs, PID federations.
So not answering more to that question, but I wanted to just say that, I mean, I think your response here reflects that there's a deep expertise, and that goes for all the opportunity areas. And I think something that at least Opportunity Area 2 wants to work on is to catch some of these questions and maintain some sort of momentum to get them solved. I mean, if there is more than one project that might be interested, and if not, maybe it should be raised to the EOSC Association's attention for a task force or something in the future. So.
Yes, thank you, Tibor, because I think I completely agree. But what I am lacking, and because we are here meeting because we want to give a momentum to the operational part of EOSC, is again in the opportunity area number 2, we are also putting huge emphasis on the standardization aspect. Because we know that there is more than one answer to a given question or to a given activity. But it would be good that right now we start pushing from the opportunity areas that someone needs to take a decision, which is the way to go in EOSC, at least to start with, and then we can expand. But I think that this is what we are lacking the most, some guidance, rules, standards that we are accepting at the beginning. I know it's very scary to raise our hand and say, okay, I am the person who is saying that this is the way to go, but someone has to. And
Thank you, very well noted. So we have the next question here. And
Yeah, so I'm René Pelso from the Danish E-Infrastructure Consortium. So a little on the same subject here. So you are basically a bottom-up driven initiatives. And I'm asking, isn't there a limit to what you can do here? Because all these things is about standardization and technical convergence and so on. And nobody's going to die of their own free will. But that's what it's about. It's about killing things off so that you have results of direction and decisions, especially, for example, within the PIDs. And also, not only do you need painful decisions and there has to be losers, but there has to be also financing for the common initiatives. And it seems that all of this is simply lacking. So I'm not very optimistic.
I can start if you don't mind. I think if we want to bring very quick answers, indeed we need to have someone able to take the decision. But then it's not community based. The type of things we are discussing right now actually are huge, and they need a lot of involvement and commitment from all of us. So that means that take time. So here it's more managing the change in all our habits, which means using years for that, and not it won't be done in a couple of weeks. So I agree regarding the challenge that we face, but what I want to maybe highlight is that it won't be solved in a few weeks, and we need time if we want to make sure that it stays something made by the community.
Thanks. Yeah, I think in a way you have a good point, but for me it's really important that, like the task forces, we had really charters. They seemed like full project with deliverables, and that was something that the task force members really couldn't do outside their own work and be responsible for that. And with that vision, I think the opportunity area expert groups have been formed. So we are all in there based on our own expertise. There are no rules. So we have flexibility from the EOSC Association to find out ourselves how we want to work, what we want to do. There will be no, of course, and I think we are actually doing that right now. So I think the only way, and you touch also about that, how will people find the time if these activities are things very closely taught about they're already doing, in our case, for the skills, or for the harmonization of curricula, or for the recognition framework that they're working on. And we hope to find that synergy, but then decide together, this is what we're going to work on, and we want to make an advice for the board, or we want to do this or that. That's, if you looked at the slides of OA5, it's not saying we will deliver this, this, this. No, we'll facilitate that. We hope to enhance that. We will find synergy there. So we are trying to find this role, because you're right, time is limited. But the good thing for me is that it's up to the group to decide what would be a priority, what would fit, and who of the 60 people, which subgroup will take on this, and which group will take on that. And that's the process what we're currently working at.
Short comment to this as an addition. This opportunity of, at least for us, it's not the task that we develop any standards there. So, but she really has to, in common idea, what is the best way, how to develop, perhaps going for RDA, for example, to set up a working group on this topic we need. And also my experiences, so I'm also working for ISO, and it's also volunteering. Yeah? So it works, but in the end, it's not a product of a single person.
Thank you. So we have another question from Ingrid over there.
Yeah, my name is Ingrid Dillo from the Fair Impact Project, and I think it's good to also add the voice of the projects in this discussion. I was very happy with the first question that was raised, and I was also very happy with some of the comments from Celia and Tibor, because from a project perspective, we are a project that spends no less than 10 million euro on European tax money on creating practical solutions to implement FAIR in the EOSC. So we run to the end of our project, and we are thinking about how do we sustain everything that we produce in terms of recommendations and guidelines and policies. And it's really difficult because we can't force these policies from a project perspective on people, because they say, hey, what project are you? And you are here now and you're gone then. So what we have been looking for is to find some kind of way to get products that we produce endorsed. And I also hear that from the first question, and it's very timely as well, since we are now in the phase of operationalization of the EOSC. I have been thinking about the Federation Handbook, but I think the granularity level as it looks now is far too high. It's not a handbook, it's like an information leaflet to tell people what the EOSC is about, in my mind. I hope that we could reference our products there, but I'm also hoping that somewhere in the EOSC there will be a kind of authority endorsing stuff, and I think that also relates to what in the PID opportunity area, but also in Celia's area was mentioned around creating advisory boards with a mandate. So I really think that that is very important also to make sure that we really get value for the money that we put into the projects. So it's not so much a question as well as a comment.
Okay, thank you. Any reactions from the panelists?
So, I mean, I think there could be one other area to look at as well, the nodes that are taking shape. I mean, those could set their own bar for which standards that they endorse. I mean, you have the central node, the EU one, which might be more of an authority, and then you have the other ones that will be kind of popping up with perhaps their own specific requirements. So, I mean, I think that need that you expressed could be something that we raise inside of the opportunity area too. And then we see if there are other projects that have the similar kind of problem and see who would be the right person to solve it and find this kind of authority, so to speak. I think this interoperability board has been surfaced at in some discussions in EOSC Association, and maybe that's a concept to explore a bit further.
Yeah, and maybe now, Ingrid, now you're talking, I think maybe we also were discussing how to collaborate amongst all the opportunity areas. And I think one good thing is maybe really to combine all the inventories that we're doing now of the products of the projects that are coming, and where the questions like you have for fair impact, there will be other projects who have the same thing, and that maybe we can find a mechanism how to at least list them somewhere, you know, not sure that we already know immediately what the answer is, but at least that we are aware.
Sorry. I think your question is more about the EOSC Association and its role, or? Yeah, the EOSC Association is doing the mapping and follows the so that work is done. My point is more on the question of the authority. You know, I'm always a bit worried when we are asking for more authority, because at the end, once we have it, we disagree with it, or we think it's not made with the right people and we want to put someone else and someone else. So that's also the issue with an authority, because if we want to make sure we agree with it and we support it, and I know that because at the beginning of the EOSC Association, I've heard plenty of things against the EOSC Association, which were true actually, because it was not so efficient, not enough, and still now not everything is done. And we have the same reaction with our member state, we have the same reaction with the European Commission. So we need to maybe discuss all together how we want to make sure that the work we do is sustainable, and how we can make sure that the community stay involved. But when we ask for an authority, maybe then there is another pathway to follow. That's my point.
Okay, thank you. So we have time for one last question. Please, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Dietrich. I know a lot of you. I'm with EGI Foundation and have been involved in a lot of these activities. I'm speaking personally. The point was made by Nils about the EOSC Interoperability Board, and I think, and people have picked up on this, and I think there is a real need to move from these ideas and discussions and inventories. So I'm making a comment, not a question. So we're talking about feasibility. How can we move them to recommendations, and how can we move them to recommendations that the EOSC Interoperability Board would take on? And what is the governance of the board? What does the community want the governance of the EOSC Interoperability Board to be? They're having already discussions about the governance of the EOSC Federation. Well, maybe there can be a conversation about, if we cannot sort out the governance of the Federation, maybe we can sort out the governance of the Interoperability Board, so that there's community involvement and community buy-in, so that what recommendations are put there can actually be adopted and implemented, hopefully in multiple nodes, as opposed to one-offs in each case. So anyway, that's just a thought, which maybe we have 2.5 days to find the answer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So any last reactions from the panelists?
So I think if you can consider perhaps the opportunity area expert groups as a stakeholder group for the projects, I mean, solving problems for the project's sake in a sense, and that's from the discussions that we had in opportunity area 2. Maybe not for all of them, but I think that could be, I mean, one way of seeing it. And then you have the association creating the task forces, representing the research community, and then there might be others. So, I mean, the different groups should have different purposes and a little bit of a different angle. And I think we should focus on solving problems that are in scope for the resources that we have. I mean, creating the interoperability board probably is a bigger thing than, I mean, voluntary efforts.
Thank you very much for the questions, for the discussions. To close this session, I would like once more to remind you and to ask you to mark your calendar. So the next winter school will take place from 20th until the 23rd of January 2025 in Spain, Seville. And of course, the participation is expected from EOSC Association Board, also from the EOSC Association Secretariat who will support this event, from INFRAEOSC and related projects, EOSC Association task forces, and also other expert groups. Thank you very much, and now it's time for the coffee break. Thank you.